Today we are going to do the most important upgrade yet to our H3. Now we already put the front hitch in so we can mount a winch on the front, have the winch. We've used it, works great. We put the bigger tires on, otherwise it's pretty much stock. I did put that 4-to-1 transfer case out of an Adventure H3 in there so she crawls real good, but the biggest thing that it needs is a locker for the rear. We're probably not going to ever do a front locker in it because these aluminum cases for them say that they just can't handle it, and they kind of just explode. So we're going to put the rear locker in, though. I have that out of the H3 Adventure that we parted out, so I'm pretty excited about that. We're going to pop that in. I already got it sitting outside out here, and we're going to be good to go. I don't know if we're going to do much off-roading in this video, but we'll definitely try it out, and then we'll make a proper trip to some trails in an upcoming upload. To give a little update, the parts H3 that we used the transmission for this one from, this is basically what's left of it, other than we have the frame sitting outside. We also have the H2 sitting here. It drives terrible right now. It desperately needs some idler and pitman arms, and so we're going to be putting them on shortly before the next trip anywhere substantial. Here's the frame. Actually, it was a pretty decent frame, so that guy is hopefully sold. Hopefully sold. Been waiting on like 2 or 3 weeks for a guy to come pick it up, but I think it actually is sold. And then we got our new rear diff with the locker in it. Now, there's no good way to tie this into the factory harness and use the like factory Adventure button for the locker. So we're going to add a button, just run some power to this guy, to this wire right here ourselves, and we'll go from there. But that's kind of the plan. Actually, I still have the wire harness, so I can cut that other one off so we can do a nice plug in there, make it look real professional like we always do. Only issue with this guy, everything came apart pretty good. These bolts here snapped off, all but one. And so we're either going to have to weld a nut on there to get them out. Well, these back ones I think I can actually get from the bottom because you can get the threads, but this one here probably can't. Other option is just leave the sway bar off. I've not driven an H3 without the sway bar, but I may or may not have in the past pulled the sway bar off of a couple different vehicles and driven them on the road as is. And oh, look there. Was that Nerf? Oh, and it's loaded. I probably can't even show that without getting demonetized. But I have driven some vehicles without the sway bar. I don't know. It's usually not that bad. So we'll see how it drives, and then I'll worry about those later. But we're going to get this thing in for today. Now, if you take a look under here, you'll notice that I don't really want to do this job that much because everything looks heavy that I have to lift, like the tires and the whole diff. But we're going to do it. We're going to do it because I'm a survivor. But got to pull the wheels off. Then shocks probably. We got to do those brake lines right there. Sway bar. And e-brake cables. Which e-brake cables actually are fairly easy on these, thank goodness. Because a lot of vehicles, like, they're terrible. And these are pretty easy. So, yeah. And then all 4 bolts underneath the mounts there. Nothing looks terribly rusted, so I think we're gonna be okay. Probably should have knocked on some wood or something there, but I think we'll get it done. All right, we are good to go here. Probably got everything disconnected, I think. Under here, we got all of the, let's see, U-bolts are out, the plates, sway bar, that's called over there. We had to take one shock out because I didn't think with the gas tank there was any way to get it past, so I took that side off. This one could take off maybe to make it easier. Now, the shocks brought up an interesting thing that I didn't realize. I think I got to buy some other ones because these are absolutely maxed out with it up on the lift. They still had it. You may even saw me fighting with them a little bit, and that's because the whole suspension still wants to drop down another ½ inch or so. And all the weight is on those guys. So I need a little bit longer shock, I think. And I even wanted to add, there's an additional shackle or a longer shackle you can get for the back to put the back up just a little bit further. That gives you a little more flex, all that stuff. And I was almost going to get those, and they said you needed new shocks for those. I'm surprised in stock form here that these still aren't long enough, but we'll go with it. So someday I'll have to buy some new ones, but I just want to get this rear end in here for today so we can get this off the lift. Everything's loose. You can see up there, I have that guy already slid forward a little bit. It'd be really nice to have 2 people to do this next part, but I don't have 2 people here. So what I'll do is I'll drop this guy down as low as we can, probably right to where the leaf springs are touching the ground. And then, I'll just slide it out. Yeah, I think that's the game plan anyway, until we run into another snag. I think let's just go with that right there for now. That's just gonna fall here. Not too bad. First hard part is done. Now it's the second, even harder part, and that is doing this one. I guess I'll have to pull the wheels off. Well, I guess. Gotta pull the wheels off. It will not fit through, I promise you. Unless you get a really long tow strap and drive about 60 miles an hour with a chain, it will go through, but then you don't really need to do the project anyways. So I'm gonna pull the wheels off. I don't know what the best way. It sucks getting these on top, just feeding them through and getting them in there in place. Yeah. So we'll just do what we can. With a little bit of prep, we got both tires off. This brake line, I needed to pull these guys off because I put them off under there in a different spot than I did when I took this one off. Just a little bit easier to do it out here on the ground. And when I did that, that brake line twisted and broke off. It was really rusted. These are coated, and I think they're actually pretty good if the coating doesn't get messed up. And this one, it had like a chip or something in it, it looked like, and the coating came off and then rusted through. So that was the only other thing I really did. I pulled the e-brake cables off of it. Now my logic, I work with a lot of flawed logic in my life, so we'll see. But I'm thinking maybe I actually want to take this guy off too. This whole contraption, because I think I'm going to need the height. So I'd like to leave it on the jack and just kind of slide it over into place. Like, yeah, one side's probably going to roll off, but at least it could get me up in and started if I do it right. It's just the exhaust, the muffler, hangs down there where I think we're going to hit. But we'll give it a shot here and see what happens. One of the things I noticed today, which is probably not good, is it seems like our lift, the left side, has gotten out of sync with the right side. It's never been like 100% level, but it's been pretty close. And today I'm looking at it, man, and it's really leaning, like 2 inches, something like that. It seems like when this is up in the air. I thought it might just be I had the pads out, but I have the rears as low as they'll go, and the fronts are pretty much equal, so I don't know. But I guess we'll keep going and hope it doesn't fall. Getting the rear end up in there actually wasn't terrible. I don't know exactly how to tell you that I used the jack, but you saw the video and it did work, and I didn't have to lift too much. I was able to sneak it in in front of the muffler after getting that side across, and then just kind of slide it. It was not real bad at all. I did put the brake lines on already here. I wanted to get it done as quick as I could to get that to stop dripping. And, well, I guess we're just going to start, kind of do the opposite of how we did it before. I'll leave the shocks till the very last, though, because we need to put some weight on the suspension to actually be able to hook them up because of how extended they are. I don't love, and the same thing, of how extended these rubber brake lines are. That's kind of crazy.
that they're as maxed out as they are. But so if you did anything with a lift, you definitely need to extend those guys. Otherwise, I don't really see anything too crazy. We're just gonna put the U-bolts up in there, do the brackets, and kind of keep going. We are now down to everything other than shocks, tires, sway bar that I may or may not put back on. We got these guys popped in, which I didn't show. I didn't show some of this stuff because I already showed it when we were coming apart, and it's the exact opposite as you would assume. Got the wheel sensors plugged in. The big question I had is these calipers looked really crusty, and because they are, I was debating about just switching them with those just because. We'll see if they do end up working, but because they still could be locked up or whatever. But I was really worried about the bleeders actually being usable, and those both broke free with a little bit of PB Blaster. I have twisted off more of those things on rusty calipers than I can count, so that's kind of a miracle. But they're both sitting here, and I'm just gravity bleeding for right now. I will actually do it properly, but we are out of brake fluid, so I got to grab some of that. Otherwise, once that's done, we can drop this thing down, and I think we are good to go other than the shocks and tires. I decided to just let those brakes gravity bleed because I still got to put this wire harness in. I'm going to show you that. Went and got some brake fluid. Also picked up back in stores for the summer Mountain Dew Baja Blast. Not sponsored. I would love to be sponsored, but I'm going to promote Baja Blast no matter what because it's delicious. But over here you can see I got some wiring. It is just a switch from a Rough Country light set that we had put in either the F-150 build that they sent out or the H2. I'm not 100% sure which one it was from. But we wired a bunch of the lights together. And so we ended up with a bunch of extra switches. This is kind of overkill for what I need, but I like that it had the on and off little light on it so that maybe I wouldn't leave the locker on and destroy the rear diff, but yeah, probably still going to do it, but I wanted something that lit up. So I already extended it. It was just the wiring was a little short. We'd already cut it off for something else once, but I can pretty much just put her in here, run a switch right in. I don't know where I'm going to put it yet. We're going to figure that out, and then run power back to our connection back here. Now I was debating about trying to find the factory fitting or factory like end for the other side for that, but that was unsuccessful. So I'm just going to cut that guy off and we will splice them together. Put a clip or two in that. It's about to sail off down the highway. Now I'm going to go through and zip tie everything at the end, but I still want to make sure before I do all that work that this thing actually locks. So I'm going to hook power up and then listen to see if it clicks. I didn't hear anything. Unfortunately, I did not hear it click, so I'm going to put you guys down here, and then you tell me if you hear it click when I push the button. Okay? Sound fair? Just need your help a little bit. You let me know. Put it in the comments. Give you a little light there so you can see. This is more of an audio thing, but you know. I'll push the button right now. Anything? Well, the rear locker is definitely not clicking. Maybe it's not lined up in there and it can't, but I'm hearing nothing. Mess with the wiring, definitely getting power, all those things. So I guess, I mean, it's either not working or the stuff inside the rear diff is not aligned where it can, lock in place, and that's what's causing it. by no sound at all being coming out of it. I kind of doubt that. I think maybe there's something, it's just not locking. I think I figured out our problem, and it really isn't a problem, and that is that everything's working. So we just weren't hearing the click. So inside here, this plate and this plate separate. We're going to separate them right now, just so you can actually hear the click, which is what we could not hear before. Okay, hit the switch. Yep, right there. So that's the locking. It is locking. It just was tight together before. Now maybe inertia when you're driving releases that, and I couldn't hear it with the vehicle running later or whatever, but I think we are good to go at this point. I'm going to wrap up my wires, and we got a locking diff. All right, we're going to do new locker first here. Ignore the rattling. See what happens. We are slow. All right, well, I'm just going to wrap it up here for today. We have a off-roading date already on the books, and it's not far from now where we can really try out the rear diff lock. Hopefully we don't even need it. Really didn't need it other than maybe one time the last time we took it out, but it will make some obstacles a little bit easier. And I actually already filmed an outro to this one where we failed because I was like, had kind of given up on it, and then we just decided we're like, let's keep looking at this thing, and we figured it out. So that is awesome. It seems like it's going to work, hopefully, out on the trail, and hopefully we don't explode it. And I do appreciate you guys following along with this project. Hope you have a good night. Thanks for watching. See you later.